فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. فأخرج إمام الترمذي وأبو داود عن زهير بن محمد فقال عن موسى ابن الودران عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المرء، وفي الرواية الرجل على دين خليله فلينظر أحدكم إلى من يخائل. وأخرج إمام أحمد وكثير من العلماء كالإمام البخاري في أدب المفرد في الرواية المرء ما من أحب. وفي الرواية أيضا وهو حسن يعني المقبول جيد بسند، فقال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام من تشبه بقوم فهو منهم ومن أحب قوما حشر معهم، يعني في اليوم القيامة. Alhamdulillah, I wanted to speak about some of the very important issues and challenges we're facing in our time. And in a time where our Imma of Masjid, Imma of organizations are posting pictures of themselves with Dr. Dre, talking about who their teacher from this rabbi is their great influence. When they are posting pictures of rappers talking about this is my first sheikh. In such a time, we need to remind ourselves about who we look up to, who we connect with, who are our role models, who are those whose footsteps we try to follow. And in this we began with a hadith as reported by Imam Tirmidhi and Abu Dawud and others. And it's a strong hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that الرجل of الرواية المرء, a person or a man is upon the religion of his friends. So one of you should check, ينظر, يعني look at who he befriends. When we take kuffar as our role models, when we praise a kafir, a fasiq, a fajir, a mubtadi', and we praise them to be our teachers or people that we look up to, then we should know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us in the other riwayah as reported by Imam Ahmad and Al-Bukhari in Adab al-Mufrad with a strong chain that a person, al-mar'u ma man ahab, a person is with whom he loves. In the longer narration of this, a Sahabi, he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and realizing the high daraja, the high status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, I love a people even if they are better than me. Yani the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, they used to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that they never wanted to be away from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he was afraid that in the akhirah, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, in al-Jannah, he will be away from his beloved, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he came with this question to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that what if there is a man who loves somebody but they are higher than him in rank? In response to this, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him that a person will be with whom he loves. يعني في اليوم القيامة وفي الآخرة والجنة. Here, the man said, what if I am somebody who's very low from them? The Prophet ﷺ repeated that. And then he told them, Wallahi, I love Allah and His Messenger ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ repeated that a third time. And we also know from the other hadith, as I mentioned, and also Sanadan Hasan, that Rasulullah ﷺ told us, Man tashabbah biqawmin فهو منهم. If somebody resembles a qawm, a people, somebody has tashbih, resembles a qawm, then he is from them. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continued. He said, وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ قَوْمًا فَحُشِرَ مَعَهُمْ يعني في يوم القيامة. And that whoever loves a people, then he will be raised with them يعني on the day of judgment. And the reason I'm mentioning this, because even if many of our brothers who may not be established or be raised in this country have an understanding of wala ul bara, but many of our youth and those growing up in this country have lost this identity. To a time where the leaders of Islamic organizations are coming out and talking about their great fanfare of rappers and musicians, fusaq, kuffar. And what example is that going to set for our youth? So I want to talk about today, who are our role models? And the best of mankind are the Anbiya. But many times we think they are the Anbiya, they had wahi. But who are the best of mankind after the Anbiya? As-Sahaba radiyallahu anhu. And many of us, we may know Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu, Uthman bin Affan radiyallahu anhu, Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. But there are so many Sahaba we don't know about. And if we know about it, many of the children that are raised in our houses or in our schools and our masajid don't know about them. And if we know about them, we forget about what made them the best of mankind after the Anbiya, the best of generations. And we don't think about how we need to follow their footsteps to be with them on the day of judgment. Think about it. Today, we have all over the world actors in movies, in films, musicians, singers. We have rappers. We have all kind of people who are leading a lifestyle of the people of Jahannam. Whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them and they make tawbah, that's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is their lifestyle. And how many people know them? If I was to ask somebody who's Trump today, that egotistical, little hands having guy with the messed up hair, everybody knows him. People, even Muslims, will be talking about how smart he is in this and that. If I talk about a basketball player or a soccer player or a cricket player, whatever cultural background you may put that into, everybody knows them. But if I talk about At-Tufail ibn Amr Ad-Dausi, radiyallahu anhu, how many of us really know At-Tufail ibn Amr Ad-Dausi and who he was and what he did for Islam and what all he brought to Islam? At-Tufail radiyallahu anhu, he was a leader in the tribe of Ad-Daus. And he was a very intelligent man. Al-Dhahabi, he writes about him that even qabla al-Islam, before Islam, he was known for being intelligent, for being wise. And when he heard about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't pay attention to the da'wah because he was busy with his people. But one time, he was in Mecca and not there to find out about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unlike Abu Dhar al-Ghafari and other people that went to find out. He went there to perform his rituals of shirk. But when he was coming, he himself narrates in the Sahih Sanad Hadith, he says the chiefs of Mecca, yani the leaders of Mecca, they came outside of Mecca to greet me. And I found this as something strange. Because most of the time, when I came to Mecca, I would meet with them because he was a leader as well, but inside of Mecca. And this time, they came outside of Mecca to meet me. Because the Quraysh, the Mushrikeen, their fikr, their thinking, their idea was that he is a leader in Ad-Daus. And we need to make sure that he doesn't listen to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So they came out. What is their niyyah? To to stop the hidayah. So they come out and they meet with him and they tell him that there is a man who we know better than you, and he is one of us, and he is raised amongst us, and we know him, and he is a liar, and he is a magician, and his words, they put magic and they put effect. So make sure you don't listen to him. At-Tufail ibn Amr Ad-Dausi, he would not have even thought about this issue if they hadn't come to him first. So when he came, he put cloth in his ears. He blocked his ears, afraid of hearing the Quran, not knowing about the Quran. And then he was there making tawaf, going through the rituals of shirk, not upon the tawheed. And during that time, he thought to himself, and this is something very important to think. Many people, if you bring a Quran to them, if you bring a hadith to them, if you bring the hidayah, the tawheed of Islam to them, they don't want to listen. They will immediately turn off. Why? At-Tufail radiallahu anhu, he said that if this man is a magician, if he is somebody, how can he affect me? I am a leader of my people. If I'm so weak, then how will I lead my people? I am an intelligent man. If he's on the haqq, I should follow him. And if he's on batil, I know right from wrong. I've lived my whole life listening to people who were kahin, people who were fortune tellers, people who were magicians, people who were soothsayers, people who were storytellers. I can differentiate. I'm not a child. Why am I blocking my ears? In one of the narrations, Ibn Hajar Asqalani, he says that one of the pieces it fell out on accident. But Dhahabi, he has that he took them out. But either way, he went and listened to the Prophet ﷺ. And when he heard the Quran, and when he heard the beautiful da'wah of Nabiina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, immediately I knew this was al-haqq. This was the truth. So he accepted Islam. Now, when he accepted Islam, what did he do? Did he say, now I have to go to Jami'ah and I have to do this and I have to do that? No. Immediately he told the Prophet ﷺ that, what about my people? The Qawm of Daus. What about them? So the Prophet ﷺ taught him some words and he said, go take these words to your people. The words of the Quran, whatever was revealed. The words of Tawheed. Some of the people think, in order to do da'wah, you have to have a PhD from here, you have to this. No. The Prophet ﷺ told us what? بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. فقال بعد من الشيوخنا بلغوا. ما هو المعنى البلغوا؟ هو التكليف من النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام على أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. عني والتشريف شرف عن من؟ النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. ولو آية تكفيف. يعني هذا شيء سهل. Think about this. One of the students of knowledge I was studying, he said something beautiful to me. He said that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is Sahih Hadith in Al-Bukhari, بلغوا, go convey. This is taklif, this is the order, this is the responsibility put upon this ummah from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anni, upon who? Who gave you permission to do da'wah? Who told you? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is tashrif, yani sharf, upon the authority of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Walau ayah takfif. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made it easy. You don't have to have a PhD in Sharia to do da'wah. What do you need? You need to know what you're calling towards. Don't talk about things you don't know about. If you don't know about a hadith, don't talk about it. If you don't know about a mas'ala, don't talk about it. Don't say la yajuzu al-haram wal halal. If you don't know. If you know, speak about it. If you don't know, sukut. We have ulama, we have ahlul ilm, we have people we can ask. If you don't know about a mas'ala, who can lead and who cannot lead, sukut. Ask the people ilm. What is the jawaz? What is yajuz? What is la yajuz? Then we take the hukm from that. But if you know about tawheed, if you know about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you know about the purpose, the maqsad of your life, go convey this to people. So Tufail radiallahu anhu, he took this da'wah, immediately he goes to his people. And before going, he tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to give him a sign. So the Prophet ﷺ, he makes dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts a nur on his face. He puts a light. This is a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at these examples from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Sahaba, they had such miracles. So he had a light on his face. Then he told the Prophet ﷺ that maybe the people of Shar, the people of evil will say, look, his face is deformed. So take this off. The Prophet ﷺ, he made dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that light to come on a whip. One of the riwayah on a stick, the stronger narration on a whip. And he had this and he went back to his people. Now, what did he do? When he came back to his qabila of Daus, did he say, let me try hikmah. Let me first simulate, become like them, and go in their traditions, and then slowly influence other leaders, like our Islamic organizations today. We need to vote here, we need to lobby here, and then we will first try to dress like the people and act like the people and talk about rappers. SubhanAllah. Is this the way of the Salaf al-Salihin? La. At-Tufail, he went, first person in a riwayah, he sees his father. He tells his father, I am not from you, you are not from. His own father. His father tells him, why? May Allah now make it. Why? He says, because I'm a Muslim. I believe in Allah. I don't believe in shirk. You are a mushrik. He tells him, what is this Islam? He gives him da'wah. Immediately his father becomes a Muslim. Immediately. He goes to his wife. He tells her, I have nothing to do with you now. We're done. Wife tells him, don't say that. Why? He says, because today I am a Muslim. I'm somebody who believes in Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I have nothing to do with shirk. You are a mushrikah. She says that if this is so, tell me about the religion. He tells her whatever ilm he learned from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and immediately she becomes a Muslim. He tells her, go make ghusl. And they had a pond that was dedicated to a certain idol, and she was afraid of that idol. He told her, wallahi, that idol can do nothing. Immediately da'wah towards tawheed, towards breaking the idol. Not trying to fit in, no, giving the clear da'wah. And he gives her da'wah, she becomes a Muslim. And he goes to his qawm and he tells them the same thing. And what happens? Qawm becomes Muslim? La. They give him a hard time. Only one person listens to him. Who is that one person? I'll even give you his name. Abdurrahman bin Sakhr. Who is Abdurrahman bin Sakhr? He takes Abdurrahman bin Sakhr, Shaykh Nizal figured it out. He takes him to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He tells him, my qawm Ad-Daus, they're not listening. They're stuck on shirk. Only one person, other than his father and his wife and his mother and some from his family, only one person followed me. And I brought him here to you. Cash tashkil. He said, I have brought him here to you. Who was Abdurrahman bin Sakhr? Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu. Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu became Muslim at the hands of At-Tufail ibn Amr Ad-Dausi. Now think, how many ahadith Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu narrated? How much of the sunnah was preserved by Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu? How much khair did Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu bring? Who gets all that thawab? At-Tufail radiyallahu anhu. Because he was the means of hidayah. We can't guide anybody. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the hidayah. Only thing we can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and strive in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and use ourselves for is to become a means. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful that when you just become a means of hidayah for somebody, everything they do, without taking away from their reward, you will get that reward. Look at this business, this tijara with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here, At-Tufail radiyallahu anhu, he brings Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he leaves him here to learn ilm from him. So I'm leaving him here to learn from you. And I ask you now, what does he ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? To make dua for Allah to destroy my qawm. He says, make dua to Allah to destroy Ad-Daus, because I gave them da'wah and they didn't listen. And there are people on shirk, and I hate shirk, to finish them. Now Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, who's one of the people who narrates the hadith, he says, I became afraid because I saw the Prophet ﷺ raise his hands towards the sky. And I knew that if the Prophet ﷺ makes a dua against those, they will be destroyed like the nations before, the nation of Lut and nation of Nuh. So I was afraid that now that's it. My family, my relatives, my friends, all of those that were in those, they will be destroyed. The Prophet ﷺ, he raises his hands and he says, "Oh Allah, give hidayah to those. Guide at those." He makes dua for the guidance of those, because the Prophet ﷺ wasn't sent here to destroy mankind. He was sent as a rahmah, as a mercy to guide mankind. So he makes dua for the qawm of those to be guided towards Islam. Tufail radiyanhu, he goes back to his people and he continues his da'wah. And people don't listen to him for years and years. But when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes hijrah, and after years after hijrah, before Fath al-Makkah, Tufail radiyan comes with the major portion of the whole tribe of those. Some of the ulama said 70 families. 70 families, not 70 people, but families. They all came from those until the whole tribe of those entered the fold of Islam. Imagine if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had made dua against them, they would have been finished. All those people of Tawheed would have been finished. And from the patience and the da'wah of Tufail radiyanhu, that whole tribe entered Islam. Imagine how many ulama, how many qurra, how many mujahideen, how many du'at that came out of that tribe. All of that reward goes to who? At-Tufail radiallahu anhu. So, who should we look up to? Who should we use as a role model? كل من فوق التراب تراب. Whoever is above the earth today, they are turab. Our examples, our role models, who we look up to, who we style our life after, are the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. They are those guiding lights for us to know right from wrong. This is the Salaf. When we talk about a Salaf, these are a Salaf al-Salihin. So we need to think now. When Tufail radiallahu anhu, he became a Muslim, what did he make as the purpose of his life? To give da'wah to his people, to make sure that everybody he knows, that he comes in contact with, enters the fold of Tawheed towards this beautiful deen of Islam, is saved from the nar. And today, in this area of Fontana, in Riverside, how many people do we know that we interact with? Every day, kuffar, mushrikeen, going to Jahannam. Is our daily concern their hidayah? What about our own families? People have done tark of salah. Man tarku salah, faqad kafar. People who have left at-Tawheed. Is our daily concern their hidayah? Or are we like, no, it's okay. I have business dealings with them. I need to make money from them. I need them for this, I need them for that. If I bring this up, they'll get upset. Imagine on Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the Day of Judgment, your neighbors, your co-workers, your acquaintances, people that went to school with you, hanging from your neck because you didn't tell them about Tawheed. We had one brother, subhanallah, he became a Muslim in San Diego. And we were in the Bay Area, in Vallejo. And we were there in the Masjid with our brother Faisal. And this was the first night he became Muslim. He was a Yahudi before. We were sleeping in the Masjid that night and we were very tired, long drive from San Diego. He woke up in the middle of the night crying like a woman cries at the death of her child. Crying. I was responsible for the brothers. I got up. I went to him. What happened? He's crying. What happened? He's crying. What happened? He's crying. What happened? He says, I just realized something. What? He said, my parents died on kufr. And he said, you know whose fault this is? This is your fault. You guys, you're criminals. Because everything that may have some benefit that's here, the people that bring it to your country. Now imagine, this is back in the 90s, but think, Cell phones, cars, all these things were invented here. Which one of our countries, which Muslim country, which Muslim land doesn't have this? He said, but you have something aghna, more valuable than any of this, which is the guidance to the purpose of life. Why don't you take it to the people? Today we're concerned about fighting with each other over this and that. We're concerned about just sitting around and making ourselves look this and that. When our neighbors are going to a nar, how many people do we know that died on kufr, that were people that we lived with, people that we worked with, that we never even spoke to about tawheed? So what do we want to do? Do you want to have talks after talks after talks? Do you want to develop just this idea of listening and criticizing and going back and nothing changing? Or do you want to change the purpose of our life? Want to change why we are in this country? We're not here because Trump led us here. Trump is nobody. He's a weak slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Haven't you seen what happened to Fir'aun? What happened to Qarun? What happened to Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab? This is nothing. We are brought here by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a purpose, to be a guidance for this whole country. For everybody here to enter the fold of this religion, which will happen. Whether Trump likes it or not, whether we like it or not, this religion will enter every home. This land will be the land of Islam, whether anybody likes it or not. But will we be a part of that da'wah or not? Will we be a means of that or not? This is the question. So I ask you, as a humble request, as alhamdulillah, we have in our city, to develop in your city programs to take care of the community. First, to take care of your neighbors and your co-workers, to make a program of da'wah for them. Make, like in our Masjid, Masjid Rabat in San Diego, we have dinner, and it's open to the community. We have programs from universities and people, non-Muslims, we invite them to come and sit and learn about Islam. Alhamdulillah, we have every weekend where we take tables, we go out to places and we speak in any means we can. Whether out loud, whether secretly, whether if we meet with somebody, any means we can to call people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Anbiya did. Any way you can. We have programs to take care of making sure those that are Muslims stay upon the religion. How many Muslims in your community? How many here in Fajr? How many here in Isha? How many here in Jum'ah? Make a program to remind them, to bring them and develop the community and become a means of hidayah here. Don't just listen to a talk to listen to a talk. Do something about it. And whatever we can do, inshallah, to help, we are at your service. Jazakumullahu khairan.
إلا تنصروه فقد نصره الله